Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Good. Thank you, Marge. I needed that today. Well, today we have Sodexo here, and they are going to present and talk about the contract we signed just this past month or two, and to talk about the details and the objectives, and also to take questions. And with that said, I'm going to have Doug come on up here and introduce the team. Doug?
Thank you, Pete. Welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to see everyone here today. This is an exciting time for all of us, so thank you very much for being here. Before we get started, I just thought I'd introduce the team we're building here. We're off to a great start and just wanted to introduce you to some of the new faces that we have. Let's see. First of all, we have our amazing Chef Shelley. And Chef Kevin. One of our exciting new faces is Chef Lamar. Then we have Nick Jordan. Mr. Joe Huggins. Travis Garland. Have Donnie Bowden. Raquel LaRose. And the amazing Megan. Thank you all so much. We have a great team that we're putting together. More additions to come. We're excited about it. And to tell you more about the great stuff that's headed our way, we have Alex Hernandez and Corey Wilsey from Sodexo.
I'm not as tall as the rest of them, so I got to move this down a little bit. Thank you all for your time. You're going to see a presentation of where we are and where we want to go with some illustrations. And so I'm Corey Wilsey. I'm the Regional Vice President for Sodexo. We have Alex Hernandez, who's the District Manager. And then we have Tamara, who is the Client Executive for both Miller's Grant and Carroll Lutheran Village. So, yep, and a face we know and love. Sorry, go ahead and give her a claps. So Alex is going to walk you through the journey of where we've been, and then Tamara and I are going to go through all the changes that are coming in the future, and then we'll open it up for questions. So Alex, if you want to come up and talk about where we've been.
Hello. And I am taller. So we don't have the presentation up, right? Okay, so we had a presentation for you. There it is. Perfect. Here we go, and let's see if I can use this. So first of all, thank you for inviting us to your home. We really appreciate the time. We're going to make this as interactive as possible, so if you have any questions about any slide or anything that any of the folks up here say, just ask. Put your hand up or just start talking, and we'll take any questions. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So here we go. So before we can talk about the...
Point it towards Jordan.
Oh, point to you. One more. One more. There we go. Before we can talk about the exciting things about the future, let's just take a little glance at the past. So we were here. We've been here since 1986. Sodexo's been providing the food services, the dietary, the healthcare portion as well since 1986 for the residents of Carroll Lutheran Village. As you can see up here, in 2015, when they opened up Miller's Grant, we were then privileged with being able to have that agreement as well. So we managed both locations' dining programs. In 2000, we all had an exciting time. COVID hit, and I believe it strengthened our partnership. Ken came into the picture. Him and I started working diligently over supplies, and our partnership strengthened during the time, I believe. Ken, obviously, you have your own opinion, right? It's and then we move forward to what's going to happen now. We're excited that over the next 6 years, we're going to lay out a plan that's going to make the services at both locations more transparent. I believe that there's some challenges that we had at Carroll Lutheran Village that we addressed at Miller's Grant. So we're making some changes to the programs to try and address and make them both kind of similar to each other, knowing that the clientele is still very different. Understanding your preferences and making sure we elevate that program. So on the next slide, one of the most exciting changes that we have is these two individuals are probably the hardest and the core of Sodexo's business here at Carroll Lutheran Village and Miller's Grant. Tamra, original role was the general manager or dining director at Miller's Grant. We're going to take and promote her to a client executive. Essentially what that means that she'll be responsible for both programs. Anytime that you have a question, you see her on site, she'll be around these meetings, she'll have coffee and conversation, she'll have all those great things that we need to be able to support the chefs, the dining directors. And then the other exciting change, in order for her to support the teams culinarily, we are then going to roll Shelly, our amazing Shelly, to look over both programs culinarily. So then the menus will be somewhat similar, the programs will be exciting, the catering events will be great, and I think you're going to see an elevation in the program from there forward. One more slide, because I want you to see this. This next one is Sodexo. There's a lot of little pictures, a lot of little words. I'll explain to you what it is. The strength of Sodexo is the support of the first piece is to have the right people in place. The next piece is to always provide them a long list of supporting managers like myself, Corey. But on this deck, what you see is all the support departments like legal, culinary, healthcare, clinicians, people that only are at the test kitchen testing different recipes. This way, Shelly and the team doesn't have to focus on making a recipe from scratch. What they could do is add their own flair, right? So they could make it to your taste, make it to what you prefer, because we have so many recipes they could pick some. That is just one example of the support that the entire team receives. Our role is to make sure that they support you the best that they can. And with that, I want to share with you some of the exciting things that I want to make sure Tamra comes up here and speaks to. Next one. What we will do with the venue branding. So, Tamra.
Had to come down again. Well, thank you all for welcoming me. I'm not really used to standing at a podium. I'm really used to being out in the community and talking with all the residents we serve at Miller's Grant. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my background. I used to be in the restaurant business for about 20 years before I came on board with Sodexo. I worked in campus services first with Sodexo, so I worked with some college kids, and that was super fun, and then I came into senior living, so I'm super excited to be here. I opened Miller's Grant back in 2015. I know that was such an instrumental piece of the growth of the LSMMD organization. I remember walking through Miller's Grant with my hard hat on and looking at the venues and saying, okay, well, this is going to be our formal dining room, and really had a chance to get to know the residents, each one as they moved in. And I know we have a much larger community here, but I'm looking forward to meeting each and every one of you. I'm really here not to replace Doug, but to support Doug. Doug and I already work so closely together with our Sodexo family, and we work close together with our LSMMD family. So I'm super excited to continue my work. I just want to reassure everybody that both Shelley's position and my position at Miller's Grant, we are hiring new people for those positions. So Shelley isn't going to have to wear multiple hats. She's going to wear her amazing chef hat to help support both communities. So just wanted to give you a little bit of background on me. I also want to talk to you about some of the exciting things that we shared with LSMMD, some ideas we gave them about our contract renewal and some thoughts we had. So the first is some venue branding and oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. Can I preface that the whole idea behind the presentation that you're going to see is we want to bring everything into this community to make it exciting, whichever corner you go into this community. So as you see this presentation, that's where we came at. How do we bring a fine dining restaurant, an elevated fine dining restaurant in here? How do we be better stewards of the environment and grow our own produce here on site? So you're going to see a lot of those things where we're trying to make this community better than it was and better for the future. So just wanted to preface that.
Thank you, Corey. So one thing that we want to look at is the pub area. Over here in 205, right off of 205, you have our lovely pub area. And we really want to look at enhancing that area and really giving it some more identity. So we're looking at some menu changes, some upgrades to that area. Latitude is one of our brands. Don't get hooked up on the name Latitude. We can really name it whatever we want. But we really wanted to look at Latitude at both communities, both pub spaces, and really look at how we can enhance that space to make it even more fun with events that we can hold there, whether it's for Super Bowl or special activities. Maybe it's a bingo night, maybe it's karaoke. We really want to look at those spaces and provide some ideas for menus at those areas. We also want to look at the Zest area. So we opened Zest at both communities back when we renewed our contract last time, and we really want to take it to the next level. We would love to create a space for a actual pub area in that building where residents can come and sit and have a cocktail and have a special menu for that pub area. We also want to look at the dining room and really enhance that space, continuing with Chef Kevin's amazing recipes, but taking it to the next level, maybe opening additional evenings and really giving that space some more love. These are just some of the examples. We wanted to create maybe a host area where we would have the Zest signage. We talked about the pub area, building out that bar area. We also would love to see some outdoor dining space there where we can actually have some outdoor dining and really create a beautiful patio outside of one of the walls in that area. So again, these are all conceptual ideas that we had talked about with the LSMMD leadership team.
So, and for a point of reference, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner picture, that's, if you were walking down the hallway, you would walk right into that Zest sign. And currently to the left where those blue chairs are is a wall that would be taken down, and that would be a two-sided bar that would go into the Zest room. So just a point of reference. And as she was talking about the outdoor dining space, a possibility we're looking at would be, again, if you were going down the hallway coming into the Zest sign, to the left there's a wall with windows in it. There would be an outside seating off of that part. So just for a point of reference.
Okay. I think the next slide is going to talk about the bistro over in that building as well. We really would love to create more chef stage center areas. And what we mean by that is more spaces where our culinary team can actually be front and center to prepare dishes fresh to order. And one thing we noticed when we were kind of walking the area is when you walk into the bistro, you walk right into a hand sink area, and that didn't really seem like the best welcoming to the residents. So we really love to kind of create a space where you can see our little drawing here. The person there, when you walk in, you would actually see a culinarian there that would have some of the specials. Maybe they're mindful specials or plant-based specials or meat and potato specials. But we really want to enhance that area to have you really feel the presence of the culinary team that you just got to meet. We really love for them to be more front and center. We also want to look at the whole bistro space altogether with refreshing the facing of the area. We'd love to see some more of that grab and go, because we know that there's a big portion of residents who love to do carry out. And so having some more grab and go options from our Simply to Go program, some of those fresh concepts, things that you could take home to cook in your apartment. If you think about companies like HelloFresh, anybody heard of HelloFresh? There's a whole bunch of them, right? But they're basically meals that you can, that are prepackaged with all of the ingredients that you can take home to cook in your apartment. So we want to create some space there in the bistro for those types of things. So again, these are just conceptual drawings. It may not look exactly like this, but we really want to create those little market spaces and really enhance this area. We do feel like this would also be a wonderful addition for the sales team to be able to show this area when we have people visiting, taking them to the bistro or to the cafe and really having them enjoy a meal there. So wanted to share those ideas. And these are just a sample menu. Again, creating those spaces, creating those identities. We really want each space to feel like a destination. So kind of like when you go on a cruise ship, you know how each dining room that you go to has its own destination, its own feel. And so we really want to create that space, again, with that bar area in Zest. Maybe you're a resident who loves to just go and sit at the bar and get a burger or a little flatbread pizza. That might be an area that you would like to go to and have its own menu for that. So this was just an example of some menu ideas and certainly cocktails to go along with that. And then the other thing we wanted to create is a center of excellence. This was something that we really wanted to present to the LSMMD leadership team about creating a center of excellence around their 2 culinary programs. And that's really where we created my new position as well as Shelley's new position. How can we create the center of excellence at both communities? So they really are the model for senior living communities to come. And one of those is to create opportunities for some of the global chefs that we have to be able to come and visit and share their recipes. You all have probably seen a lot of these chefs that are on the Food Network and different programs. We have partners with those chefs where they help us create recipes, whether they're healthy inspired or globally inspired. We'd really love to have those recipes not only be showcased here, but maybe even be piloted here. Some other ideas are, different types of innovation. We have some innovation getting ready to happen here in the next few weeks where we're going to be bringing a robot to Carroll Lutheran Village. And I know everybody's like, a robot? It's not a robot that looks like a person, but it actually has different shelving on it that, we can see if we can support the team to help with some of the things that they need to do, whether it's clearing tables or bringing food to a table. So we're actually going to be working on some innovation. So we really want LSMMD to be the core of that innovation. And so we want to be able to help them elevate their brand to the outside world and through our culinary excellence. I think there might be one more slide. Yep, I talked about that. You can skip that. I do want to talk about the personal chef program, which was another part of that Center of Excellence. We'd love to see our culinary team, the great team that you just got to meet up here, provide some in-house services to you as well, whether it's you're having an anniversary party and you want to do a dinner for 10 in your apartment or home, and we would be able to come out and support that. So another piece of that Center of Excellence, really creating a program that's very personal to all of you. So I'll turn it over to Corey at that point.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, let me move this just a little bit up. And, the importance of Center of Excellence to us was that we really wanted to make sure that your home not only was great for you, but it was also great for Lutheran Social Ministries. We really wanted them to be leaders in this segment. So all that innovation that will come through here, all the exciting ideas will be afforded to you first before it goes out to the rest of the nation. So we're a global company, but nationally, our accounts in the United States, less than 7% of them are centers of excellence. So that's just a small handful of communities that would have that title. So I really want to talk to you about mobile carts, and if you could put that presentation up there, sorry. Although that's a pretty good looking guy. So we really wanted to, let me back up. Within the venues you have here, we're going to refresh them and make them exciting. But how do we always make everything exciting, and how do we make it exciting in the continuum? It's great to have nice things in the independent living portion of it, but the skilled side of it needs it too. So we have a thing called mobile carts where we can bring in any concepts. This one right here you're looking at is barbecue. And on the fascia of it, we can remove the design that's on there and put a different one. So today it could be barbecue, which I'll be glad to come up and cook some Texas barbecue for you. And then tomorrow it could be an Asian grill. And then we can just funnel through, and I'm sure there's not a lot of poke bowl fans out here, but it is fun, it's exciting, and so we could bring that here because not only does it excite you, but it's going to excite your family to come visit you, knowing that, hey, maybe today's poke bowl, and somebody in your family might like that. And if they don't, who doesn't love desserts? Yeah, exactly. And there's a bunch of concepts, and we'll be adding to them as they get developed. And the culinary team will add to them too. As Shelley goes, hey, we've got this really exciting idea that we want to roll out conceptually in here. And our residents like pho. So we're going to make our own broth, and we're going to let them throw their noodles and their meat in it and call it a day. So, and then finally, zero radius dining. We've got to do better. We found out during COVID that our food supply is deeply, deeply challenged. So we started working on a lot of things here, particularly about controlling waste. But outside of that, what do we do when the vendors can't send us the lettuce and the tomatoes that we want? So we decided to go with the concept here called zero radius dining, where we're going to get everything as close to local. If we can't grow it, we're going to get it close to local as possible. So with that, we have greenhouses. There will be 2 Victorian-style greenhouses that would be here. And at the end of the day, if we suck at growing lettuce, we'll turn them into art studios or something. But within each one of these greenhouses that we have the ability to grow 900 heads of lettuce every 3 weeks. So you could actually make your own salad bar, and here's how we would do that. In the top left-hand corner is a bed that basically, in layman's terms, it's like a rain gutter that's going to grow lettuce out of the top of it. It's called hydroponics, and it grows things 3 times as fast, but it uses less water than traditional gardening. Down below it is a Dutch bucket system. In that, we'll be able to grow 280 pounds of tomatoes a month. And again, using less water, growing 3 times. So that big thing on the left will take up the majority of the space, but on one wall would be the tomatoes. And so that's kind of where we want to start out. Now, if you guys expand and go, well, tomatoes are great, but we'd like peas, or we'd like cucumbers, we'll play with that. We're just going to start out with the things that are easy to grow because we're not farmers. So, in all transparency. Well, I am, but we got to work on Tamara. She's going to have the greenest thumb before tomorrow, I swear. And then inside, we have a concept called Babylon Farms, because again, it's great that you guys will be able to go out to these greenhouses and play in them, but what do we do for people who can't get out? Maybe it's not possible. Maybe they just don't feel like doing it anymore. We want to bring gardening indoors. So within this, we have these cases that will grow lettuce, herbs, flowers, all that, and they could do it indoors. You guys can watch it, and since we started rolling this out in other communities, I get so many selfies sent to me of residents and their families in front of these cases watching flowers grow in there. And again, it's just sustainable, it's easy to do, and it's fun. And then I want to give this back to Tamara because this is her child, this is her baby, and Jeff, Ken, and Pete challenged us with this, so I want you to be able to talk it through.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges, certainly in senior living and all culinary programs right now, is retention and recruitment. I have many friends who are in senior living, who are in campus services, who own restaurants right up the street that have challenges keeping employees and retaining them, as well as recruiting them. And so, like Corey mentioned, the LSMMD team really said, how are you, Sodexo, going to help us with that? How are you going to help us retain our team, our talented team, and help us grow them? And so we will be creating a culinary foundation program, which will really help outline pathways for someone like a dishwasher to grow into an executive chef position. Does anybody know Matthew Hundermark? Anyone? I know you guys do. Matthew was a dishwasher here at Carroll Lutheran Village long ago. He worked his way up through the ranks. He became a dietary associate, and then he actually became a chef manager. And now he is over at Miller's Grant, and he was our operations manager, and he's actually going to become the director of dining. And that's like a great pathway for us to create for other employees here at Carroll Lutheran Village at Miller's Grant. So we really want to help support the teams to really help let them grow. We know that many people come into food service as their very first job. I know that my stepdaughter just started working at Grotto's Pizza, and this is her very first job. And although we may not get everyone who wants to make a career in culinary services, we certainly want it to be exciting for them. So we want to create these pathways where they can participate in trainings, whether those are online or in person. Chef Shelley's going to be instrumental in helping us develop that team. With our partnership with the Culinary Federation, we can provide these trainings for our team. That's what a great partnership is. We can bring these institutions that we have partnerships with, we can bring them to Carroll Lutheran Village and Miller's Grant to help them grow their team. So these are programs that our executive chefs and culinarians participate in. We want to be able to provide them to the LSMMD team members as well, because we know how special those team members are to you. I hear it all the time at Miller's Grant. We love the servers. We love them, we love them, we love them so much. How can we keep them? Well, we want them to be excited about working in food service. So we want to create these opportunities for them to continue to grow and be part of the organization for a very, very long time. So very excited about that, and I think that might be it.
Yep, and just to add a little bit about that, now, when I went to culinary school, it was a lot cheaper. But I believe, and Shelley, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's about $240,000 to become a chef nowadays. It's extremely expensive. So this pathway takes employees and makes them better than we got them, gives the ability to stay here and learn how to be a chef. So that's our presentation. I'm going to ask all the Sodexo people to come up here because we're going to do Q&A with you guys. So we'll answer any questions. And as you ask the question, we'll repeat it back and then give you our answer, because I don't think we have a passing mic to, oh, we do have passing mics. Never mind, they're prepared here. So what questions do y'all got? We got one right back here in the corner. She's going to start us out.
I have a question about the space in the Zest when they add the bar. How does that work with the seating in Zest? Does that diminish the seating? Or how does that work? Are people going to be at the bar while people are eating at Zest?
So, and I'll answer that in a couple of ways. So a portion of that bar area would go, oh, I'm sorry, I was going to show you the image again, but they're showing me. A portion of that bar area will go out into the common walk space, and then a portion of it, yes, will eat up some of the seating, but we're going to capture that in other areas like the private dining room that's there, and also with exterior dining spaces. Well, that got more hands going.
I saw listed salad bars. Are these ones that we can actually access ourselves, or are we going to have to depend on people in the culinary service to serve us up? This has been a problem now. We're shorthanded with people.
Yep, and I'll let Tamara take that one.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So the question was, the salad bars, are they going to be chef attended, or are they going to be resident can make their own salad? And I think we want to do a little combination of both. So we have a salad bar in the cafe that right now I think just has like packaged goods in it right now, right? So what Shelley and I have discussed, hi Shell, we'd love to see some really wonderful pre-made salads. So we have a wonderful mindful program where we can do really protein salads that can be available for purchase. And those are in a rotation where they would be made to order and packaged in one of the cases. You could go up and grab those. Then we would also have in the salad area kind of compose your own salad. So we do want to go back to that. And then over in the bistro, Kevin, I think we only have right now is a salad bar that would be a culinary team member would prepare. We can certainly look at that space when we get ready to kind of revamp that area, but we would also do the same over there. We would have in the cases these mindful salads that you could grab and go. I know at Miller's Grant, not only do the team, like nursing and the team members really love that, but when family comes, they love to go and grab those salads to take back to mom and dad's apartment and things like that. So does that answer your question?
Yep, and I've got to add one answer that you didn't ask me about the Zest Room. Our intention on the Zest Room is to start out by opening it 5 days a week and then go to 7 days a week. So we want that available to not only you, but to your family as they come in, 7 days a week as a high-end restaurant for you.
Will Zest still be separate from the bar or not?
So, well, the bar will be a part of it. So as you come into Zest, You would make a reservation to be seated. You could wait at the bar if there's a long wait. More than likely there's not going to be, but there may be a day that there is. So that's a space for you to wait so that you could have a drink, you could have an appetizer, and then go into Zest. So it's part of the new adventure of it, so to speak. It's a walkthrough to it.
Yeah, just like you might see in a restaurant. You know, when you go out to a restaurant, you have kind of a lounge area, and then you have the dining room. So we really hope to have both of those spaces created in that area.
I'm hearing an awful lot about Zest and the bistro. I'm curious what's going to happen down at the cafe and the pub.
Yep.
I haven't heard that's been glossed over. You mentioned it and then forgot it. And everything else has been about Zest.
We did have a presentation on there, and if you could pull the presentation back.
Compared to that long.
All right, here, let me back up. We'll go through that. And if you want to talk while I'm talking.
Yeah, I would say that we definitely don't want any space to feel glossed over. We really do want to make sure that we're focusing on all of the dining venues. So in the cafe in particular, and I hear what you're saying, we talked about the salad bar, but I guess we want to see what else we want to do over there other than focusing on the space in the pub area. So whether it's menu items, we really love to see more mindful and healthy options created in that menu over in the cafe, as well as plant-based options, really looking at the menu cycle over there. But if there are particular, quote-unquote, upgrades that we need to make to that space, we need to address that as well. Yeah, so Latitude is the pub space that we were talking about, that we want to look at the menu and the upgrades over there. But we haven't focused on specifically on the cafe. I think those right now are going to be more menu upgrades, but certainly if we can look at some areas of opportunity with construction, or if it's a piece of equipment, something that we need to add over there. One thing that I would love to see over in the cafe is those chef stage center, your culinary team right out front. Some great innovation and technology that we can use to support the culinary team. They're called turbo chefs, where we can actually put in a piece of equipment that's a very rapid cooking technology that would help the culinary team, whether it's doing flatbreads or a particular dish. They can utilize that technology as well. So I hope that answers your question. I don't want it to feel like the cafe isn't getting the love it deserves, because we know it deserves love as well. Let me help this gentleman real quick.
As an aside, Chef Shelley, no matter what, has to cook a couple of fabulous things on the lower campus weekly. My question is more practical. All of this looks wonderful, and it also looks expensive. What is the bottom line for residents when we're going to end up having to pay for this?
Well, so this is part of our contract commitment here for Lutheran Social Ministry. So what you saw there is funded by Sodexo as part of this contract. And I do want to preface that all this isn't going to happen tomorrow. We've got to, first with the Zest venue, we've got to get the blessing of the state to come in and give us permits, and we've got to get that. So my intention that, and Tamara, I haven't told you this, but
Here I am.
yeah, we're going to do monthly meetings with you guys to where we call it coffee talks, where she's going to update you on the progress of all of this, and you guys can have this presentation. Our intention is to do all this. It's just the timeline hasn't been figured out. We've got to sit down with Ken and work through all that, and then we've also got to work through it with the state. But this is funded by Sodexo to allow us to be here.
To what extent are your plans going to take into account sustainability? For example, one of my friends suggested at the tray return, we could have recycling bins so that people don't put everything in the trash that could be recycled. That's just an example.
Yep, and I'll tell you that part of our, I'll give you a global answer and then I'll let her come in locally. Part of Sodexo's plan for 2025 which is next year, is to reduce our carbon footprint. We've started in the background to work with a program here called Waste Watch, to where we're reducing the amount of waste that we have with our cooking techniques. And so that's where we're doing that right now. And within that, it lowers our carbon emissions and so forth. I know there are some other plans to be greener, but then the sustainability on growing our own hydroponics here is second. And then third is to go into local vendors, because obviously if a farmer down the road is growing beef and we buy from him versus somebody who's doing it in California, there's going to be a lot less carbon emissions there. So that's globally where we're going to go, but I'll let her talk about the other portions of it.
Yeah, the other part of the sustainability initiative is to look at the waste in general, not only from the Waste Watch, what we're doing in the kitchen, which is really reducing that waste, but also our paper waste. So right now we have containers that are hinged. You all know these containers that you get carry out with. They are not recyclable. And that's always been a very big point of contention. And it's really the hinge that causes the challenge with the recycling company that does that. The hinge container doesn't work well. So whether it's a hinge container from here, or it's a blueberry container or a strawberry container that you buy at the grocery store, those containers can't be recyclable. However, we do have a great partnership with a company called Ozzi, O-Z-Z-I. They have reusable containers. We're actually using them at Miller's Grant right now that are reusable. So when you go to the bistro at Miller's Grant, you get your food in a Ozzy container. And we have all of the containers that you have. We have the 3-compartment container, we have the soup container, we have the little salad container, and all of those containers, the residents get their food to go in those containers. They take them home, and then the very next day, residents all have a green Ozzy bag, and they put the Ozzy bag outside, and they're collected. Now, we're a little different here at Carroll Lutheran Village because we're a lot bigger, right? We're not all in the same building. So we're going to really have to dig into that a little bit more to see how we can go sustainable with our packaging. But it is a goal of ours to try to incorporate that here as well.
Yeah, and I will tell you that we can go as green as you want. But in order to do so, it has to be led by you. For example, we've got some communities that got a financial look at what we spend in paper, and that particular community was $16,000 a month in paper cost. So the residents got together and said, how could we do better? And they started out by getting coffee mugs that are cleanable that they would bring, and they got rid of the paper cups that they had at all the coffee stations. I mean, that's one that you guys could do tomorrow if you really cared about having a greener community. I mean, you don't need me to do that, but as far as you guys want to go with it, we'll help create whatever program you want, but the reality of it is it has to be the want to from you in order for us to be able to do it.
Do you have any plans to do anything to the restaurant 205?
Restaurant 205, I think, again, we're going to be looking at the menu offerings there. As far as decor, I think that's certainly something we can look at, but it's already such a lovely space. Ann, did you have something? Oh, okay, I thought you grabbed the mic for a reason. I think we're just looking at the menu for that area.
Yeah, and there will be spaces in this community that we don't touch. I mean, the reality is I don't have a pot of gold that can fix everything here, but we do want to progressively bring this community into the future, not only for you guys, but for the residents of the future, and that's why Zest was a big focus for us, because it will be the nicest restaurant anywhere around here in your community, and I think that's a nice thing to do. You'll have a huge hydroponic farm here, which I don't know how many of those are in the area, but I'm definitely going to find out as soon as we submit a permit for it.
So you've outlined for us a lot of different proposals and stuff like that, and you did make reference to the fact that you don't have a timeline. But how will we know that you are progressing in a timely manner to meet your goals?
Sure. So we're working in conjunction with Ken and Pete and team. And then Tamara, like I said, on a monthly basis, will be meeting with you guys to do a coffee talk to talk about where we're at. Right now, there's a couple of things that are still outstanding. We haven't finalized the contract. Now, we've agreed in terms that we have. We've got some legal language that Carroll Lutheran's attorneys and our attorneys are going back and forth on. That's out of our hands. They'll have that done by next week. Ken and Pete, Tamara, myself, we're going to talk then about a timeline, and then just hope that all the permits fall in line for that to happen. So you will have to be patient with us, but we will over-communicate to you all that's going to go on. And I wish we could just snap our fingers and it was done tomorrow, because these are all exciting things that we can't wait for you to have. But there are some quick ones we can do. And that mobile cart, that could be here in a couple of months. So that's something we could do relatively easy. Construction and permits and stuff, that's a little bit harder. But we will keep you updated on a monthly basis.
And I think that once we
Hold
do...
on. Hold on, Tamara. Also, this will help with that question is Sodexo has a construction arm of its part of its company. On the construction side, Tamara will have a project manager that will manage that portion of the business, because I know when you look at those projects and you see that is a lot. Shelly, she's got to lead our program. She's not going to be doing construction. She's not going to be doing construction. So that construction team will provide us a project manager that are going to do the permits. He's the boss. I got to keep him updated too. So I'll get from her what's going on at the projects, and I'll let him know. Then she will let you know. That's the intent we're trying to do. What we're trying to nail down over the next couple of weeks is, what is the most important program? What could we get started first? Because we want to do multiple things at the same time. Like the branding, that's easy. The mobile carts, easy. The big construction project, we even have a restroom we're building up here close to the 205, because we realize that based on Pete's recommendation, that is a long distance from the bar area and the restaurant to the nearest restroom. So we were trying to build something there. So those are going to take some creativity and minds that are not us. And that's where we're happy that Sodexo Construction is engaged on that piece, and we'll work with LSMMD's construction team to make sure that we get those done. And hopefully that answered the question about, timeline and projects.
Food service manager, not a construction manager.
But she will get a hard hat.
I will say that my intent is, just with Doug, every month, once we have a solid program and a solid timeline, we'll do more of a deeper dive into each program and what that's going to look like, because we really want you to understand the programs are for you, and we really want you to be invested in what's going to happen. So we will do a deeper dive. Once all of that, right now it feels very high level, we definitely will do more of a deeper dive. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a long list, but I'll give you the list. You can answer it over the next 6 years. In these wonderful diagrams, I don't see or perceive of accommodations for those of us who are mobility constrained. I don't see, both in the cafe and in the bistro, as you've already noticed, a constrained mobility person cannot slide their tray around the entirety of the service area. And, we drop them once in a while because the way they're constructed is not accommodating to us. Also, in those designs, nice to have those carts and all, but are you making accommodations for who we are? We get to eat twice a day. In our dining rooms now, those chairs with wheels, those wheels break daily. And that's an aggravation every day that needn't be. And the other thing you could help us with quickly and easily is stop using crazy definitions of the menu. We're old people, we know what potatoes are, but we don't know what Italian iced whatever. Make it simple for us. You have added to the bottom of the menu, we can now begin to guess what's gluten-free or what's low sodium or what's this or what's that, what's the other. But I believe you have a vested, unexposed interest in the purchasing of tons and tons of red peppers because you put them everywhere in everything. You kill seafood with peppers. The seafood is very delicately flavored. Why do you kill it? But the mobility issue, I think, is really, really, really important for this kind of community. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Alberts. I appreciate that. A couple years back when we redid this agreement, I had the privilege of, I wanted to destroy that cafeteria line, but when I dug into the plans, what it would take to reconstruct it, because what I would want for you is everything guest facing. Every one of Shelley's chefs show you their talent, cook for you forward right in front of you so you can see everything that goes in it, and you could say what you don't. That was my original intention. Tamara and I put our head together and said, okay, that project is $5 million to redo that whole thing. I can't destroy that thing. There's too much infrastructure there from the past. I can't do it. He has money, but he doesn't have that kind of money. So we scrapped that program and said, okay, let's use the square. Let's call it a square. And let's put more of her team in the front and cook for you. So this will eliminate some of you're adding things to the menu that I don't like. That's the one I wanted to talk about. The most important piece of what you said, Mr. Alberts, which is 100%, is we definitely have to take into account how to serve you better. So one of the biggest things that we did first is change Tamara's team to look over both communities because she does some wonderful things at her community, meeting guests where they're at. And that means, do we have to convert it into full service? I mean, I'm glad that that's on her mind because she's great at it and she is going to come up with a solution for it. I hesitate to quickly say, let's make it full service because that is more people. And more people means more recruiting challenges. And then she brought up a great idea. The robots might help you kind of mitigate some of the need for the labor. So we're going to pilot that, and we're hoping that this robot, hopefully there's going to be two, one on that side, one on this side, but hopefully the robot's there so that you could put your order in, you give you a number, you go sit down, and then the kitchen loads up the robot, brings it over to your table, and an expediter comes, puts it in front of you. That could work. But we're in the process of piloting that. I'm sorry if we didn't kind of elaborate more on that. Go ahead, Mr. Hogwood.
Please control the robot amongst our rollators. We don't, in the 205 dining room, which is a wonderful room, when it's highly populated, rollators are a problem. But that's generic to us. That's who we are. So keep that in mind as you create designs and spaces.
Yep.
And I think, let me just talk about the menu really quick. I think one of the main things that I'd love to see is, like you mentioned, things that are deconstructed so then you can have them. Yeah. So for instance, Fresh Catch is a culinary concept that we have at Miller's Grant. Fresh Catch, it's just fish and it's just prepared. We have things that you can add to it if you want, but that's just one example of a small change in the menu that doesn't require a team member or additional labor or something like that. It's just creating the menus in a way that you have a little bit more customizing of what you would like with it, if that makes sense.
Yep. And so thank you for your comments. And I'll tell you that as we looked at everything that we were doing, it was about continuum of care. And so, yes, we're trying to meet you where you're at, regardless of what stage of life you're at and what mobility or lack of mobility you're going through. So that has been brought into consideration. Do I have a magic bullet that's going to solve everything? I don't. Neither does Tamara, neither does Alex, neither does Shelley. But we're working to do what we can with as much as we can. And I would agree in regards to red peppers. Now, I could open up an hour-long conversation on green beans. If I said, who likes green beans crunchy and who likes them soft? Half the room's going to stand up for crunchy, the other half's going to stand up for soft.
And I think but that's part of my responsibility, working with Doug and the culinary team and Shelley to make sure that we're finding the good balance, right? Because I did the study one time. I said, who likes sweet potatoes? And we had these people. And it was like, who doesn't like sweet potatoes? And it was these people. And so we know we have a lot of likes and dislikes. But I feel like that's more of an operational responsibility than it is Alex and Corey's responsibility, because we're the operators, right? So we work with you every day, and we need to work through some of those challenges.
And then, but back to the deconstructing of dishes, though, I'm sorry. I agree, and you'll find out that with me, I believe action needs to be in every one of our food venues. So while there may not be a space that we do something with completely, we should still have a chef cooking in front of you, so that if you're having that fish entree and you don't want the red peppers, you don't have to have that on there. Like, we do sizzling salads, we do sandwiches that are made for, we could do all kinds of fun action stations, which I believe needs to go in that cafe area that we're not going to do much with. So you'll see a lot of that coming too, but that's just menu changes, not structural changes.
May I ask a question of the chef? She's been standing there and not saying a word. You have to understand one very important thing. I am a soup-aholic. I love soups. Now, what I would like to know is, do you make the soups here, or do they come in pre-made?
No, every soup that we serve is made in-house. It's made from scratch. Yes, it is.
And then, so then can I add to that? So part of that culinary foundation that she showed you, now there are some people who know that we're a French company, and we are, but I'm about as French as only knowing that a brigade is done in the kitchen and I eat French fries. So within that brigade, though, typically what you do, whenever somebody wants to learn culinary skills, we teach them how to cut vegetables. So a julienne carrot, you teach them how to make that nice little strip that's right there. And then from the trimmings, you set them aside. And then when we carve you a nice turkey and we have some bones left over, we set those aside. Now, as we're teaching individuals like a dishwasher the basics, we'll teach them the 5 mother sauces, and we'll teach them how to make soup stock. So now they take those carrot trimmings that part of our Waste Watch program says, hey, you can use those in soup stock. We'll save those to the side. We'll take the leafy part of the celery, we'll save that to the side, and we'll take those turkey bones and we'll let them boil in water for 8 hours, and we'll get a nice stock out of that. And then from there we can make soup. But once you teach an individual how to make a soup stock, then they're so hungry to learn more. Now I can teach them how to make bread. I can teach them how to make dressings. And it's just, you get them excited to learn more, and you reap the benefits of it.
I just want to point out, so that people mainly using 205 dining rooms will, those that have been here for a while will remember, new ones don't know. The 205 dining room was renovated and made quite nice just before COVID, and the pub was added. 17 years ago, the Zest was made, and it's time to renovate that and to have a pub over there. It may be with the cafe, some things need to be changed, and hopefully the special improvements with food will benefit all 4 places or 5 or 6 places. One thing that bothers us at the bistro, and it's done much better in the cafe, the cooking area is, they can bring food out without needing to interact with the residents with their tray. And the bistro, where the entrees and main food is, there's a line getting the food. The people from the kitchen are bringing food in the middle, and then on the other side, people are getting drinks. And it's body to body to body, and surprisingly, nobody's fallen. I guess you can't reconstruct so much, but if you could put the drinks elsewhere, so at least there's 2 lines, not 3, in a small area, it would really be appreciated.
I love construction. So yeah, we came up with a plan, and I know it's not up there, but when you look at the cafe, we're gonna, you know how there's those back wall, I mean the bistro, those back walls are empty. They have a beautiful mural, but it doesn't serve you anything. We're gonna fill them up with whatever she feels that you want. So she'll do the analysis of, if you want Coke, we'll put Coke up there. If you want chocolate cake, we'll put chocolate cake up there. We'll try to eliminate some of the congestion around the square. I don't know what you guys call it. What do you call it? The serving line. I did look at, so my original kitchen design, I'm hoping at some point that I get a chance to do it, because we have a wonderful licensed architect designer, Susan. She's been here a lot. I don't know if you had a chance to interact. She builds so many of these, and she's the one that gave me the advice as let's take the square away. That was 1970s. All right, nobody goes around a square and get anything. Let's push it back, make one long line where the door would come into the back just like it does here. And it was a beautiful design. I have to share it with you, so this way together we can figure out how to make this. Now, the other most important piece is that once pushing that back, it opened up a space in the middle for a full-service salad bar or a beverage station. So we do have plans to address that, because we see how important it is that your food's ready, but you have this long line around the serving line waiting for one cashier. We're going to diversify or separate the cashiers into self-pay, and if you want an electronic pay, you pay electronically. We're gonna do some of the programs, like we have an app. We used to have Bite, now it turned into Every Day because it evolved. In that app, you could see every single ingredient that they use to put into that dish. So once the menu's done, you look at the app, say, do I feel like eating this? Oh yeah, I feel like eating that. It has everything that I like. Or I'm gonna request that, but without this ingredient. That's a lot of technology. If you like using your phone, that'd be easy. I just wanted to make sure I answer that, and thank you for that question, ma'am.
I want to applaud you for including in your presentation the attempt to locally source foods. The farm to market movement is very strong now, and we live in a rural county. It's one of the things that you can implement sooner. It doesn't involve any building permits. I'd like to know if you have selected a person to begin initiating conversation with our local farmers here in Carroll County.
So yes, good question. And we already do use some local producers of that. It's just making sure that we continue to increase it. So we have people that are called RAMs, who they source our vendors for us and have those conversations. But a lot of the product that you're currently eating is locally sourced. It's just part of what we do. We just want to do more of it.
Thank you. It sounds like you have no plans to reconfigure the cafe dining room. Is that true?
Yeah. Yep.
That's an honest answer.
I was wondering about the size of the Zest. We often have socials there that are more than full, 150 people or more. And how much are we losing any space in the Zest with the reconfiguration?
No, you'll actually get more space.
Real quick, like I said, I love construction projects. Actually, you're gaining because right now where the hostess stand is on the inside, that's the space where the pass-through is going to go through. So then the hostess is now going to be outside the space. And then to add to it, we're going to add seating at the private dining room that hardly ever gets used, very rarely. And then we're going to open up that outside space. So when your weather's beautiful out here, it's going to be packed. So reserve early.
Yeah, and everybody's asked a lot of questions. Can I ask one? Is there anything that we showed in that presentation that you guys like? Okay. There's a few of them. His hand went up.
I would say that I don't know if we have a hard stop, but it's 3:05, so maybe we'll make a couple more questions, and then I know Shelley and the team made some food back there, so we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to see that.
One of the things that I wanted to say was it's very exciting. You've talked.
Hello, hello.
Okay, try again. I was getting ready to say that you've said so many exciting things.
Yeah.
It just sounds like fun, to tell you the truth. But to go along with those, I think we need better communication. We do not have that now. We used to have a forum where we could ask questions, and it kept us up on what was going on. So I know that you're going to be coming, but I think if you aren't going to be coming, when time is up for all that, certainly we need to have a local kind of thing.
So 2 comments to that. One, on your monthly newsletter, updates will go in that. And secondarily, there will be the coffee talk with her once a month that you could ask and share all that feedback.
Yeah, and I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. So we'll be putting out a monthly newsletter that will give some highlights. Maybe it'll include a recipe that we want to showcase, a mindful recipe. I don't know about monthly. Corey's ambitious. My ambition is quarterly first, but the coffee and conversation will occur monthly. It occurs monthly now at Miller's Grant, so it is exactly that, a communication tool for you to engage with the culinary leadership team. So Doug and I will be doing that together, where we'll talk about updates. Maybe it's, inflationary challenges. We've been having trouble sourcing this particular thing, but we always end the coffee and conversation with a Q&A where you could ask questions, whether it's a particular menu item or it's a particular service. It doesn't take place of the dining committee. The dining committee is really a smaller group for communication, for us to work with I like to call the dining committee the ambassadors for dining, because it's really a task force for them, you all, and as well as the culinary team, to work together on things that we see that need to change or that we're having challenges with. And then from the dining committee, we go to coffee and conversation. We update everybody what we talked about in dining committee, and then we also talk about those updates, and then we end with the Q&A. So that's how I see the communication happening initially, and certainly if we feel we need to grow from that, we can do that as well.
Even if you went quarterly, we have the resident to resident that comes out every month. Yeah. And that is a communication that something can be put into.
And that's what I was referencing. Sorry, she didn't know that. I didn't want to call it out, but that's where it will go in, and then she'll do a monthly talk.
Right, the resident to resident, we all have an opportunity to have. I'd just like to make 2 comments. One would be, if there's any way to, when I eat, and I don't eat in the bistro very often, I eat mostly in the cafe,
but it does tend for your food to get cold. There's no covering of the food at the bistro, very rarely. At the cafe, they keep tops on them, so you are able to get it a little bit warmer. I know they have microwaves, one in each place, but if you have 5 or 6 people that want their food heated, so that's something that should really be, I think, looked at.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, let's go.
grab one more.
One more question, and then I'll be here and Doug's here. We can certainly answer your questions.
Would you speak to menu rotation? Years ago, we've been here for almost 9 years, and the rotation of the menus was at 6 weeks, so that you knew in 1 month you never got a menu repeated. Not so now. We get menus and we take them out and say, didn't we just have this?
We definitely will look at that. We're looking to refresh the whole menu in all of the venues, so we will certainly look at that. It's usually a 5-week rotation, but we will certainly look at that. All right, really quick.
I want to answer Corey's question because he asked us a question. I absolutely love the idea of reusable containers. Plastic doesn't really get recycled. It's an illusion that makes us feel better. So if we can reuse our containers, that is superb.
Good.
Last question.
Last question. I'm a bit confused, or maybe I missed it. It has to do with the pub. It has to do with 2 portions of it. Number 1, will you have a sort of pub at the upper campus as well as the lower campus? And number 2 is, will it be as available as the bottom campus, and not just at dinner time? And then the last question has to do with the lower campus. There were rumors that there were going to be big changes there in the placement of furniture, bar, etc. And is that true? And if so, what is it? Thank you.
Go ahead.
You are correct. There will be a pub in both upper campus and lower campus, your definitions of that. The area in the lower campus pub, we want to look at the menu and the offerings and maybe expand on the days and availability of that. Certainly, it's all driven by participation. So we want to see folks coming to the venues and participating so we can justify adding more labor to open those venues more frequently. As far as actual construction, I think some of it is going to be a little bit maybe adding a restroom. Again, these are all high-level ideas right now. I don't know if we'll be getting new furniture there, so that's more of a maybe right now. Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. I will say that's something we discussed when we were showing all of the conceptual ideas.
Yeah. And that's part of
Talking about that for years.
Yeah, that's part of our plan. So in this next couple of years, we're going to address that one. But I did want to say something about participation as one of the, and I'm glad that we're talking about sustainability for a little bit, is one of the most wasteful parts for what we do is when they work very hard to prepare a menu and they get very little participation. And it's products that we can't do anything with. So we try and then sell them at like the to-go. But at the end of the day, if we don't have your participation, the programs can't grow. I could be here with you right now and say, I want all these venues open 7 days a week, as many hours as we have employees. But if only 1 or 2 people show up, or I only have 5 or 6 reservations, it almost seems like it's easier to close them to save you money. We were trying to be good stewards of your own money. I make the recommendation with their help of saying, if you're only getting 5 people, let's shorten the time, let's close the venues, and then you have this beautiful space sitting there that nobody's in. And so we're going to take it like it's our fault, and we're going to try and re-engage the entire team, and we're going to come up with exciting menus, and then with your input, we'll say, okay, those are the preferences for this building, because both buildings are completely different. Your menu should look different than theirs. And then with that, hopefully I could get the participation, or at least the purchases, so that they could continue to be innovative and bring more team members. And if we can make this team grow, you'll see better results. I promise.
Well,
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having us. And we'll all be here if you have any other questions.
I hope that was helpful. I think there was a lot of good questions. I know that Sodexo is finalizing the objectives in the near future, and those will be shared. And as Tamara said, we'll be having a monthly meeting to update you. Okay? Thank you for coming. Great attendance.